an Odyssey sports station. Hold on.
What?
Our day is not over just yet.
Woohoo! USA!
We have an action-packed hour for you 6 p.m. drivers.
Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Matt Skraby wraps up a full day of live and local sports talk.
And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lifter.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for March 10th, 2026. I am Matt Skraby. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We got some stuff to talk about, some unexpected stuff to talk about. We'll tackle that in just a second. But if you want to watch the show, you can just go to Facebook, type in 97.3 The Fan, YouTube 97.3 The Fan. You could also go to the Skraby Show on YouTube at the Skraby Show. And please subscribe when you get there because I'm getting closer to the place where I need to be able to like do more live broadcasting and stuff like that. YouTube has a lot of rules that I didn't know about until I started signing up with the YouTube thing. So subscribe to at the Skraby Show, subscribe to at Gwen and Chris SD, subscribe to at 97.3 The Fan. You could also watch on Twitter, 97.3 The Fan SD and at Matt Skraby on Twitter. I made a major mistake, which I went over to change the channel to the World Baseball Classic game, and I changed it to Fox 5, but it's the news still, so I'm realizing it's probably on FS1, and I got to go deal with that a little bit later. But the worst story came up on to start the hour. And anything having to do with dogs is going to make me sad or happy, but anything bad with dogs is going to make me sad. And they are talking about certain canine conditions on military bases. Apparently the dogs aren't being taken care of that great. And that's really sad. And now they're showing all the cute dogs. You know what? Give me a second because I got to go get the remote. I'm changing it. Okay, I'm back. I had to run all the way over to the other side of the room. All the way over. But that is really sad. Everybody, please be nice to your dogs. Dogs are great. Dogs are some of the most loving creatures ever. And I know there's people out there that are like, I hate dogs. And that's fine. But just don't be mean to dogs. I saw a video one time of someone dropping off a dog at a pound and just leaving. And the dog was like, where'd you go? Anyway, don't really want to don't really want to go down this road the entire time. But I changed it to the wrong channel, and I ended up getting inundated with a dog story. If anybody knows the channel for DirecTV FS1, please. Oh, wait, there it is, 219. All right. Well, let's get into the show, actually. USA versus Italy. Yes, I know, Rod. Italia. Eric says, love my Chihuahua, Tina. KG says, who the bleep hates dogs? I don't know that some people hate dogs, but I don't know that some people hate dogs. I do know that, actually. Someone told me one time. But they had a good reason behind it because a not nice dog attacked them when they were little. All right, let's move on from all these weird stories that I'm talking about. That's not how I wanted to start the show. What we're going to start the show with is Gavin Sheets, and we're going to hear from Walker Buehler a little bit later. We're going to talk about Joe Musgrove in a bit as well, because if you haven't heard, Joe Musgrove has a little bit of arm soreness. We'll play what Craig Stammen said, and we'll talk about that. But Gavin Sheets, he's had somewhat of a quiet spring training, I would say, so far. He hit a 3-run homer the other day, and so I was kind of wondering, what would was last year an aberration for Gavin Sheets? And now I'm not saying that his spring absolutely determines whether or not he's going to have a good regular season. But Kevin Acee wrote about Gavin Sheets, and apparently Gavin Sheets' focus, which I do love, his focus is on getting better this year rather than trying to make the team. He is going to make the team, so he doesn't have to worry about that. Last year, he totally had to worry about that. He had to hit 5 home runs in 4 games to make the team, to put him in the position to hit that opening day home run, and the rest is history. So I like that part about Gavin Sheets. He's not worried about the results that he's getting right now because he is working on things. And one of the things he's working on is walking more. And he, so far this spring, and according to the story, entering Sunday's game, Sheets had walked the team high 7 times. He said, definitely been an enhanced focus. It's been an awesome part for this part of camp where you're kind of putting results aside and thinking about the process. I think that's your game. I think that's your game to the next level and taking your at-bats to the next level. Homers are more fun than walks, but I think discipline creates swings that like that and gets you in counts like that. So Gavin Sheets is working on things that he needs to work on and not having to worry about making the team. And so even further, Gavin Sheets he's trying to put an emphasis on taking advantage of favorable counts, trying to get pitchers in the zone by not offering at those pitches that, are kind of on the outside skirt or the outside edges. And he knows that he shouldn't be offering at pitches that he probably won't do the most damage with. So I really like this. I think that Gavin Sheets is showing all of us that he's willing to get better and willing to work at it. But I really love hearing about this. I like it when I hear about guys who don't accept a successful season. They want to get even better because they know they can get better. And Gavin Sheets, if he is someone who can do what he did last year, then this, he is going to be a guy that's going to be very, very, very important. So we need him to figure it out in spring training. We need him to make sure that he is going to hit in the position that he's been put. Now, he hit all over the lineup last year. And so he's a very versatile guy. He can play many positions. He could be a DH. He could be a first baseman. He could be an outfielder. Last year, he hit 19 home runs. I would say that that was in 145 games. I would say if he has another season of 19 home runs, I think that would be a success. Even though he's a first baseman, I know first basemen are projected for more home runs. But you know what? This is what we have on the Padres, and this is what we're dealing with. So Gavin Sheets doing the right things to make sure that he gets himself into a place where he can really, really help this team. Now, Joe Musgrove, I want to get into it. It's a little bit of a longer, it's a minute long clip, but Joe Musgrove feeling some arm soreness, and Craig Stammen was asked about it by the media, and here's what he had to say.
Throwing wise, Musgrove.
Yeah, I think he's day-to-day right now. Kind of, we knew this is how it's going to be with him coming back from injury. It wasn't just going to be a straight shot, all the way through. And so giving him the ample amount of rest to get him kind of a little bit of a deep breath, a breather, and then we'll get him back out there.
Any idea when that'll be, just based on how he feels?
We'll see. We'll evaluate him every single day and then make a decision after that.
With Joe, I mean, is it like general soreness? Is it kind of work, just typical stuff, working your way back from this kind of thing?
Yeah, it's typical stuff. Like sometimes you just come out of a game or come out of a bullpen and it's just a little cranky. And you're like, I need, a couple extra days and just a little bit of a breather, recalibrate, start all over again and get back to it. But I don't think it won't be too long. Like it's just, something I think it's in the best interest for him and in the best interest for our team so that we can get him pitching when it matters most. And that's when we see playoff Joe. So we got to get it. We're thinking about getting him through the entire season, not just getting him to opening day.
All right. Many things to unpack here. As you heard Chris Ello earlier, he is worried that this is worse than we're being told. And there is totally the possibility of this. I don't think that Craig Stammen would stand in front of the media and say, hey, we're focused on the whole season rather than the start to the season, rather on opening day. So that tells me that they're still expecting for him to be, they're still expecting for Joe Musgrove to be with the team this year. He's not going to, it's not like he's going to miss the entire year again. He has some arm soreness. Now, do I think they are being overly cautious with Joe Musgrove? Absolutely. They are. They have to be over cautious with him. It's not really a phrase, overcautious, but you know what I'm saying. They have to, because these things are very, very sensitive, and you never know what if one day of soreness turns into 2 days of soreness, turns into 3, and then all of a sudden you can't throw again. So if Joe was feeling a little bit of soreness, a little bit of pain, he told the team, and they didn't shut him down, but they paused throwing and stuff like that. Now, I don't actually know if they've paused all throwing, but I know he's not pitching right now. So I am not going to worry about this until they come to us and they say, hey, he's going to be missing. He's going to be out until July. And there's so many factors to this that I think we need to take into account here that makes it, for me, not as scary and not as concerning. And that's this guy last pitched in a competitive Major League Baseball game when the Padres played the Braves in the playoffs in October of 2024, I believe. And so he had to go from October of 2024 all the way until March of 2026 before he pitched again. I would expect for him to have some soreness. It's just natural. You throw bullpens, all that stuff, but you cannot simulate a game. And so even though it was a spring training game, Joe still had to field his position. Joe still had to throw competitive pitches. I don't know that we should be concerned. I don't know that we should be concerned yet. And we haven't heard anything else about how bad it is. I've been looking through Kevin Acey's stuff to see if there was something that I missed. I haven't. It doesn't seem like I've missed anything. So we have to take Craig Stammen at face value right there. Now, Chris and I talked about this a little bit earlier because Chris is, I think that people were calling him, he's Traumello is what he's going through, traumatic Ello. Dramatic Ello is more like it. But he's saying that because in the past, and this doesn't just go for the Padres, but we were talking about the Padres, but in the past, they said, hey, he's going to be back. We're not even going to put him on the IL. We're not worried about it. Then boom, he's on the IL. And then boom, that same guy is coming back in the middle of the season. And then boom, we have a setback. So that's why Chris is a little bit concerned about this. I'm going to say that Craig Stammen, I don't know why I feel this way. Sure, he's going to fib to us. He's definitely going to fib. He's definitely going to tell white lies. Every manager does it. I have no issue with that. But I don't know that Craig Stammen could stand up there knowing, I'm going to knock on wood, say Joe Musgrove was more injured than what they're leading on. I don't think we would be able to watch this clip and not tell that there's something else there. Craig Stammen seems like a guy who, not that you could read, but it seems like a guy who you can tell if something is bothering them. And I'm really looking into this. But this is what we talked about earlier, because we have a new manager and we don't really know how that manager deals with the media. Again, do I think that he might say things that make it a little bit less scary? Yeah, of course. But I do not think we would be told a full-on lie from Craig Stammen about Joe Musgrove in this moment. I just don't believe it at all. Let's see. Jordan says, is Walker Buehler perhaps a backup option? If he's not already the fifth starter, he's definitely a backup option. We're actually going to hear from Walker Buehler in the next segment because he pitched today and Sam Levitt in the media went out and got some of his thoughts on everything. Yuki Matsui threw a bullpen today. And here's another crazy thing. Jason Adam pitched in his first simulated game of the spring today, and it seems like he's going to be back for opening day. So I think that's pretty amazing for a guy who ruptured his quad on September. I looked this up. September 1st of last year. September 1st, he ruptured his quad. He's going to be back by opening day, and I think that's pretty incredible. I really do. Jason Adam is a huge huge piece to this team. I don't think quads affect pitching, but I guess you never know. But I'm looking forward to seeing Jason Adam pitch, and he's going to be on the roster most likely for opening day. Italia. Well, it is Italia. Italy and Team USA right now 0-0. So keep an eye on that. There's I know we talked about this earlier, but there's so many guys that I just didn't know of their background. Michael Lorenzen pitching for the Italian team. Like we said earlier, Alec Jacob pitching for the Italian team. So there we go. Bottom of the first, or the inning is over. They're moving into the second. When we get back, you're going to hear from Walker Buehler after he pitched today in the spring training game. And that's next on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan.
Hop in a John Deere
Matt Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. Back here in the Bell House Studios, we know how. Still. Oh, wait. I thought the inning was over when I went to break, and it wasn't in the inning. Now the first inning is over. Sorry, everybody. We're going to hear from Walker Buehler here in just a second. We're also going to talk a little bit about his outlook. But on the chat, I said something last segment that was pretty stupid, actually. I said, I don't know if pitching has anything to do with a quad. Why would you need a quad while you're pitching? Well, the fine people of the chat, and again, at the Skraby Show on YouTube, they let me know that quads are very important in pitching. And I didn't realize that, yes, that is true. I shouldn't have said that it wasn't important or I didn't know. Because you need to push off your leg off the mound. You need to land. You need to go run to field your position. There is a lot that goes on with your quad. And so it makes it even more impressive that Jason Adam is looking at the opening day roster. It's just incredible to me. I don't know which is more incredible. The guy who won the marathon by 0.01 seconds or Jason Adam tearing his quad on September 1st and being ready for opening day. Sounds pretty crazy to me. And then I also saw that Jason Adam was having another girl or had another girl. So he's also got dad stuff going on. Jason Adam has a lot going on. And then we have a bunch of girl dads in the chat. I'm sorry if I'm missing you, but I saw Chris is a girl dad. Dominic's a girl dad. Rod's a girl dad. And I'm sure there's more, but I don't see it. I've always thought if I do have kids and I do have girls, I would be the dad that's like braiding their hair or something like that. I would be like super dad. I don't know why I feel that way, but yeah. Someone is asking, do I work out my quads? Oh, Dominic says, are quads important to show producing? No, they're not important at all. Jordan, Skraby, do you work out your quads? I do. Not crazy amounts. I'm not like squatting every single day. Oh, KG is a girl dad as well. I'm not like squatting every single day, but I do, I do go on hikes and things like that. And then sometimes I do, I don't even know what the exercise is called, but it's for the quads. But I think I totally would be the guy who's like being the best girl dad along with all these other girl dads. Smash the Numbers said, yes, I'm a girl dad. Highly recommended. Thank you, Smash the Numbers. Also, I got a question about my backpack. Maybe we'll get back to that a little bit later. Does it hold a water bottle? The backpack behind me was given to me a couple years ago by Odyssey. And it's a nice backpack. I think I'm getting to the point where I need a new one, though, because it's starting to get a little old, but I've had it for years now. All right, Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler is probably the fifth starter, and he took a few more steps towards it today. He started against the Angels, went 3 2/3, gave up 2 runs, struck out 2, walked 1, and also allowed 5 hits, which isn't terrible or anything. 2 earned runs is fine with me in 3 2/3. And so Walker Buehler, he spoke with the media after, and the more I listen to this guy, and it's kind of, I guess maybe not lame to say this, but it seems like he's an interesting dude. I don't know why, but it seems like he's an interesting dude. So he was with the media after his start today, and we are going to bring that to you in just 1 second. Here is Walker Buehler.
68 pitches. Was that the plan? Yeah, 4 innings. Obviously some long innings and long at bats, but spring training is about getting your work in and getting the reps on the throws that you're going to need to make. So, thought we did some good stuff today.
You pitched today.
Mm-hmm.
Like you pitched.
Yep.
It wasn't the fastball. That was. I know you've talked about that.
Yep.
But what you did today was pretty unique.
Yeah, in all honesty, I'd like to throw more 4 seams, and I think we'll get there. But against 7 righties, there's going to be more 2-seamer. There's going to be more slider. Since my elbows kind of improved, the sweeper is kind of back in play, and so that's a pitch I probably threw 50 times last year, maybe. So none in the off season. So we're trying to get trying to get some reps in that. And then, the two-seamer I think is a weapon for me, but I don't think we're going to use it quite as much as we did today. But all in all, a good day.
So not 5% on the four seam,
Yeah,
but maybe still a little less than what you've done even last year? Or?
Yeah, listen, I think there's some world in which hard and soft are kind of going to be equal, and whatever mix that is going to be will largely be dependent on matchup and what we're trying to do that day. But four seam cutter, two seamer, it's kind of the new 3 fastball thing, and then I have the breaking balls and threw a couple really good changeups today. So even some right on right ones, which is very new for me, and good to have success with some of that stuff that you've been working on, and Ruben has been really good in terms of helping me figure out what I can really do with my hand. And so, once the delivery is kind of in a good place, I think that's when we can get creative. And, we've been feeling pretty good the past couple of weeks, and kind of moving towards what we want to be as a finished product.
Walker, is the velocity kind of where you want it to be, or do you think there's room to grow there?
Is there one in the stadium? I didn't see it today.
There was not.
No, I threw some fastballs that felt like I threw them hard. I don't think they're 100, but I don't think they're 88. So it's somewhere where we need to be.
The new sweeper?
It's kind of the old sweeper, to be honest with you. In 21, it was probably my best pitcher, right-handed hitters. And, as we've kind of gone along this surgery kind of rehab process, it's just the elbow hasn't really loved it, and didn't really love a whole lot. But now things are feeling better and delivery's back where I want. So, we'll keep turning around with it.
You're a veteran. I get the impression, you believe that you know what you're doing, right? You got this new pitching coach, and you've talked about kind of melding you want to learn from him, but you know what you're doing. Like, how's that going?
Yeah, I think part of playing in this league for a long time is you pick up, you have to be your own best pitching coach. It just is what it is. And, I think that started for me in college. Scott Brown was an unbelievable. I can give you all the puzzle pieces. You got to put it together. And I've kind of taken that to heart. And, Ruben and I have sat down and had some conversations about lingo or when I'm nervous and getting through warm up, when I say something like what I'm looking for, that's stuff that takes time, and we're trying to kind of do it on the fly, but so far so good. And all in all, I feel good with where I'm at.
My last one is I know it'll vary and all that, but do you feel more comfortable not having the fastball now than you ever have? Not having that fastball that.
No, man, it's kind of like the ex-girlfriend that you fell in love with, right? It's always will want it back. I want to throw 100, and I want it to jump, and I want it to, kind of stand and throw. But the reality is that probably won't happen, and we just got to, be really good on the execution of it, and keep working through. And, I can go play long toss until my heart's content. I don't think I'm going to sit 98 to 100 anymore, but, the quality of it to kind of go with the other things I can do, I think is something that's achievable and attainable.
All right, that was Walker Buehler after his start today with the media, and there was a couple things I thought were really funny in that whole thing. Number one, the Angels Stadium apparently in spring training doesn't have a radar gun for anybody to look at, so they have no idea how fast they're throwing. Actually, I have it open right here. Let me go see if I can find. Maybe I'll have to do this in the break, but I wanted to just go see if I could find and see how hard he was throwing real quick before we went to break, because I can do that. Let's see. Let's go to a Mike Trout. All right. He threw a 92.4 mile an hour sinker right there. I haven't seen the fastball yet. But what he said was it wasn't 100, but it definitely wasn't 88. So I'm not seeing many fastballs right now as I'm looking through these things. See if he has. There's a lot of sinkers. The sinker's going 93.7. So that's not terrible, but I'm not seeing any fastballs, so this was a wasted effort because I wanted one thing and I can't find it. All right, that's fine. That's fine. Well, Walker Buehler sounds like a guy who knows that he's going to have to reinvent his game and is reinventing his game. And Walker Buehler is a guy who has really great experience behind him. And he's a guy who's pitched in the World Series. He's pitched in major moments. And I think those things are very, very, very valuable, extremely valuable to be able to draw on those experiences. So there was Walker Buehler in his start today. Italy just took a 3-0 lead on Team USA. I think McLean started today. I just want to see. I know Kyle Teal hit a home run for Italy. If this is the same Kyle Teal, he was a part of the crochet trade when Kyle Teal went for the Red Sox to the White Sox. And then what else happened? I'm trying to find out what else happened. This is not easy today. Sam Antonacci homered after Jack Caglione was hit by a pitch. So that's where 3-0 is right now. Hopefully the U.S. can get it going. Hopefully they can get it going. All right. When we get back, I still have a daily gripe. And I got to tell you, I think my daily gripe is one that I don't think anybody thinks of. But it happened today when I came to work, and I need to talk about it. So we'll do that when we get back here. Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. All guests on 97.3 The Fan are brought to you by the STCU Fan Line. It's not big bank banking, it's better. Matt Skraby, final segment of the Skraby Show. A little bit of a schedule update. So tomorrow there will be no Skraby Show due to UCSD basketball. They're playing in their tournament, so they start 5:52. I know it's a random time, but that's when Gwen and Chris is over. So the rest of the week is kind of up in the air. Friday, there will be no Gwen and Chris because there is a UCSD game on during the show. So that's the deal. I don't know what I was about to say, but I don't. Yeah, that's the deal. We're not going to have a show on Friday. Tomorrow, no Skraby Show. Now, if UCSD wins tomorrow, no Skraby Show on Thursday. But if UCSD loses tomorrow, there will be a Skraby Show on Thursday. So everybody pay attention to UCSD to see what they do in their tournament. I have a quick daily gripe from Renee. Where did it go? Daily gripe. My daughter does order for pickup at the grocery store. This is the second time I hear her start yelling, "They sent cabbage again." They don't know the difference between lettuce and cabbage. I would never. I can't do. I shouldn't say never. I don't do the pickup grocery store thing because I feel like everybody always tells me that their order is wrong and the substitutes never get in there or whatever. So I'm not sure. I understand that putting in your order ahead is way easier because I'm now, whenever I order food, like to-go food, if I'm coming to work or whatever, I always order ahead. I'm not someone who's going to go there and sit there and wait for them to make it. I always order ahead. That's my go-to now. So I understand if you want to do the grocery pickup, but it's going to be wrong. So can you actually get mad if they don't give you the right stuff? I'm not sure. That wasn't my gripe. That was Renee's gripe. My gripe is going to be later in the show. So stay tuned for that. Let's see. We still are going to talk about Max Crosby. The trade from the Raiders to the Ravens has been declined. He is going back to the Raiders. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I wanted to give you one last piece of audio, and that's from Craig Stammen after today's game. One thing I haven't mentioned yet, but I should have mentioned, is that Jace Bowen is making a case. I don't know if he's making a case for making the opening day roster, but I think he's making a case to kind of put some pressure on people. Jace Bowen so far in training has been pretty good, 906 OPS, but hit a grand slam today for the Padres. He was leading off, 281 average. And if you look at what he's been doing throughout spring training, he's been pretty good. I know I think that was a Larry David thing, but he's been, let's see. He's hit 2 home runs in March, and he has that grand slam. He hasn't had a lot of like big RBI games or anything like that, but it's still spring training. But he's been hitting over 300 for most of spring. So now he's at 281 after today. But again, I don't know if he is going to be competing for an opening day roster spot, but I think he's definitely, if he continues to play like this and then play in AAA as well, then I think he is putting himself in a really good spot to be someone called up in the year if they need it. But with that said, the grand slam, Craig Stammen talked to the media after the game today.
Walker really pitched today. What'd you think?
Yeah, that's what we've been trying to get him to do. He's just a different person than he was, what we remember him from the Dodgers. So he's kind of coming into that second evolution of his career, and he's taken pretty well to it. A lot of good change-ups underneath, some good sweepers, 2-seamers. He's turned into a pretty good pitcher.
Jace Bowen can do a lot of things more than just hit balls far. Like what kind of player could he be for you guys?
Yeah, he's very physically gifted. You know, you watch him run, you're like, man, I wish I ran like that. You watch him hit, and you're like, dang, I wish I could hit as far as that. You know, he could be, you know, a guy for us that comes up, you know, at some point during the season, whether that's at the beginning or the middle or the end, provides a little life, a little energy, steals some bags, play great outfield, and then, like we saw today, has the ability to leave the year too. So trying to work on the finer things of baseball with him, make him into a baseball player, not just a great athlete.
Jose Miranda has played a solid third base today in particular and had a base hit today. He's hit the ball well. What's the key for him, I suppose, continuing to inject himself into that roster conversation?
Yeah, he's had a great spring training thus far. He's been really hitting the ball. It's kind of the player that we saw play against us when he was with the Twins, and he's kind of showed that same swing, made a few adjustments, and he's had a great spring training. He's playing third base, playing a good third base right now, and you know, we've been trying him over at first base and third base. It's moving around a little bit, but you know, like we always say, if you can hit, we'll try to find a spot in the lineup for you.
I like that. If you can hit, we'll try and find a spot in the lineup for you. That was Craig Stammen after today's game. Now, I saw on the chat from Jordan, Bryce Johnson is probably on his way out. I can't fully disagree with that. I think that Bryce Johnson is the leader in the clubhouse because they know what they're going to get from him. And let's not take it away from him. He had a pretty good year last year for being a guy who was off the bench a lot. He hit over 300. And he played great defense. So I think Bryce Johnson is a guy who is, I can't say bubble yet, but someone definitely that needs to keep up the great play and someone that needs to make an impact, because there's all these guys that are trying to get that spot. And Jace Bowen kind of seems like he would be a Bryce Johnson type, but do you want someone like Jace Bowen playing defense in the ninth inning when you know that Bryce Johnson can play defense very well and you're not going to have to worry about him as much? Now, is Jace Bowen going to get opportunities? I would think so after this spring, but we'll see where they're at. Maybe they're more in the minor leagues. I don't expect a lot of major league time. And if he is, there's two reasons for him to have a lot of major league time this year. It's if there's lots of injuries and he needs to be there, or if he's just playing so well they can't look away. So a name to keep an eye on. Brandon says, trade some of these guys for pitching depth. This team can never have too many starters. We talked about it a little bit earlier with Bradley Rodriguez. Now, Bradley is he's not highly coveted that I know of, but he's a name and a player that other teams are like, hey, you know, we're going to keep an eye on that guy. And Chris wants to trade him now because his value is so high. And now we're not sure what the return is. I don't know that you're going to get, you know, major league talent for Bradley Rodriguez. But if you do trade him, you will get some good talent back. So are you willing to give up a guy who's on his way up in order to get some prospects back? Yeah, I definitely don't think he's going to get major leaguers back. I think if you were to look into it, it wouldn't be the worst thing to see his price and see what people are offering for him. Because at the trade deadline, say he has a really, really good first half, and you need a bat that is going to, that's going to make a difference. And that's one of those bats. Sorry. I got a little distracted. But yes, I don't think we should trade Bradley Rodriguez. But I'm also a guy who doesn't like to trade ever, because I'm like, hey, I know what I've got. Why would I get something new? But that's not how professional sports works. It's not how professional sports work at all. Now, I don't do AI a lot, but I do sometimes use AI to like help me shrink a big five topic, because I always include stuff that doesn't need to be included, because I feel like every detail is a necessary detail, but sometimes AI will shrink down the paragraph and make it a little bit easier for me. But I asked AI this morning, I said, If Sung Mung Song is on the IL, here's the question. If Sung Mung Song is on the IL, what is the Padres opening day roster? And to its credit, AI, pretty good, I would have to say. I cannot be mad at what AI spit back out at me. And here's the starting lineup according to AI. Xander Bogaerts leading off. Jackson Merrill hitting second. Manny Machado hitting third. Fernando Tatis Jr. cleaning up. Jake Cronenworth batting fifth. Ramon Laureano batting sixth. Gavin Sheets batting seventh. Nick Castellanos batting eighth. And Freddie Fermin batting ninth. Bench, Luis Campusano, Miguel Andujar. And then they had Jose Miranda making the team, and this is their note, the AI note. The spring breakout star hitting over 400 in the Cactus League. And if Sung Mung Song is on the IL, AI said Ty France makes the roster instead of Sung Mung Song while he's on the IL. So you could have Miguel Andujar, Jose Miranda, also Ty France. So I was pretty surprised, actually. The AI was able to figure it out. Here's their starting rotation. Nick Pivetta, Michael King, Joe Musgrove, which we've already talked about, Randy Vasquez, Walker Buehler. Here's the AI note. Currently leading the battle for the fifth spot over German Marquez. And then you got the bullpen, which is pretty standard. Mason Miller, Jason Adam, Adrian Morjon, Jeremiah Estrada, Wandy Peralta, David Morgan, Bradley Rodriguez, and Kyle Hart. Now, Kyle Hart is having a really quiet spring training, mainly because he's a reliever. But Kyle Hart has put together some pretty good outings, and I think we're going to see Kyle Hart in the bullpen. I think we're going to see Kyle Hart come in when I don't think he's going to be like super long relief or anything like that, but I do think that he can come in and relieve in the middle innings. He could be a lefty specialist. He's thrown 8 2/3 innings so far in spring. He has only given up 3 hits. He's only walked 3. He's struck out 7, given up no runs so far in spring. The average against is 111, and his whip is .69. So Kyle Hart is dealing here in spring training, and that's all in 5 games. Now, if you look at Bradley Rodriguez, he has appeared in 6 games, only pitched 6 innings, given only 2 hits, 1 walk, struck out 7, a whip of .50, and a batting average against of 111. I think Kyle Hart, I think we should be not prepared, because it's not like it's going to come out of nowhere, but I think it's going to happen. I think Kyle Hart is going to be the guy, one of the guys who makes up the middle innings in the bullpen, because they brought him in to be a starter, and they let him start some games last year. His stuff maybe not be starter-esque, so he could use that for an inning. I think that's perfect for someone like Kyle Hart. All right, I'm really excited to share this.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right. Daily Gripe is this. Now, I think I've griped about this before, but finding a fork in the Odyssey Palace Studios, the Bill House Studios, we know how. Finding a fork here is like gold. Like, you cannot find them. Until a couple weeks ago, when a bunch of forks came in. We needed forks. We got disposable forks. Now, here is the gripe. We also had, for last Thursday, I believe, it was Employee Appreciation Day. And so Baja Rick's catered some food for us. We had a bunch of food in the kitchen. It was absolutely great. And Baja Rick's also brings in like napkins. We need all of this stuff we need here. But here's the thing. He also, Baja Rick's also included the packages of salt and pepper that also have a napkin in it, that also have a knife, a spoon, a fork in it. The gripe is this. When I go get a fork today from that, because I love those packets. They're perfect for me. I need a napkin. I need a fork. I can use the salt and pepper if I want to. But the gripe is that someone took the fork out of the package and put it back into everything. So when I picked it out, there was no fork. You cannot just grab the fork. You have to grab the entire thing. Do not grab the most valuable thing in there and then put it back in. No one, and I mean no one, is using only a fork and a spoon out of this thing. Okay? So if my coworker is listening right now and they're like, oh man, Skraby's talking about me, just know you have to take the whole thing. You can't just put back the thing in there and then everybody grabs it and then there's like at some point there's gonna be like 3 of them in there, and then we just got no forks anymore. There you go. The gripe is all about people stealing the fork from the utensil packages and just leaving it there. It was Ben Higgins, Rod said. I don't think it was Ben. I don't think Ben would ever do that. I don't know if he would or not. Oh, Eric says it's Braden. Is it Braden? Man, I'm going to have to figure this out because it was infuriating when I picked up that thing and it had no fork in it. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining me tonight. Appreciate you all. Team USA still struggling. Bottom of the third. Italy's up 3-0. Hopefully they turn that around. Oh, Brandon also says it's John Flint. Oh, Rod says it's Frank. I'm going to have to figure this out. I don't know. Frank's not like that. Frank's not like that. John Flint's not like that. Braden, though. Braden might be like that. I'm not sure. Talk to you all tomorrow. Gwen and Chris, 2 p.m. Have a great night.